Do you have classified documents in your office?
I mean, it seems like everyone does at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also find the show on YouTube at youtube.com/@namely90s. And if you'd like to sign up for a support level, head over to patreon.com/namely90s with a 90s. And do it. Do it. I said that in a weird order, but I don't care. Do it. Yeah, here we are. We should have done an improv exercise because my lips are like, it's like I'm drunk.
Oh yeah, we every episode in season 2 so far, I think we've done one except for this one. So oops.
Yeah, I seriously sound drunk. Oh man, I was gonna make biscuits with dinner and I forgot.
Oh darn. That's what a great start to this episode.
I have biscuits in the fridge that I need to use, and I was gonna make them with dinner and I didn't.
I've gotten into like making stuff.
Yeah, no,
not even drop biscuits.
I mean, okay, I will make stuff, but in my life currently with the kids and the working, there's a time and a place for that.
That's fair.
A weeknight is not the time or the place for that in my life.
Yeah, that's why they have the thing from the store with the poppy, with the spoon. And
right. But my new favorite thing to do is my mom hates store-bought food.
Yeah.
Is every time we entertain and my family comes over, I do some sort of store-bought food, but then like put it in a homemade looking dish and then like garnish it.
Yeah.
So I did it with potato salad because she doesn't really love store-bought potato salad.
I don't either.
And she liked it. I just like put some paprika on top and put it in a ceramic bowl.
Yeah. Well, it's that. And like, you could just like add an extra squirt of mustard or like I assume you have like 3 or 4 different types of mustard in your fridge. Like I do. So like just add an extra squirt and then stir it around and you made it yourself.
I mean, some store-bought stuff just tastes like ass. The other day I tried to do one of those like steam and bag broccoli situations. Not good.
You know, what's funny? I was watching Good Mythical Morning today and the shaggy one, Rhett, he was like, his Link doesn't know how to cook anything. And he's like, you could fool your family, man. You could like, they have the broccoli just ready to go in a steam bag. You don't even have to prep it. Apparently Andrew's saying no,
it's terrible. It's not good. And there's some things where like store brand is totally acceptable and you're not going to notice a difference. But there's some stuff where store brand is absolutely revolting and just poor quality.
I think the only store brand thing I really buy is like frozen peas. There's never a bad quality frozen pea.
Yeah, no, I get on board with that.
Yeah. But speaking of frozen peas, that sounds like package key. Didn't you want to talk about your storage locker?
Oh yeah. So my wife or Kayla's going out.
This is why we warm up before
she can't. So we have one of those locked mailboxes where we have our slot and there's the package slots at the bottom.
Yeah.
So if your package comes, they put the key in your box and you use it to open the package box.
Correct. That is how that works.
Well, we've had trouble with our key before. One time, like one of the little teeth was broken on the key, so it wouldn't engage the lock fully. And this time I could put the key in, but it wouldn't turn. So I'm fumbling with it and just trying different ways and like different pressures and all that stuff. And this guy who's sitting there in his car, having just checked his mail, was like, excuse me, that could be for a different box. And I'm like, well, the key says E, which is this bank of boxes, and it says 2. And this is the second package thing. And so I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. Won't even go into the other ones at all. And so I just put it back in and then I just whacked it with the flat, the palm of my hand. And it like knocked in another notch and then it worked. But I was like, that's not. Yeah, no, I know how to read. Like, I just like, thanks for the helpful tip.
Yeah. Speaking of like keys, my front door, if you can call it that, the bottom lock was kind of giving me trouble. Like I couldn't push the key in all the way, and I didn't have any like canned air to try to blow any particulates out with. So instead of buying canned air, I'm like, I'm just gonna get some WD-40. And after like reading a bunch of forums where like, you don't put WD-40 in your locks or else it'll ruin the inside.
You to put that granite stuff in there, like that, or is it granite?
Yes, I think I saw something about granite.
It's like a very fine powder of some sort of rock.
Because of the lubrication. Because
it's a dry lubricant.
Will dry out the lubrication.
Yeah, you want a dry lubricant. The dry lubricant penetrates quickly and deeply.
That's
says that.
Does it also say pump, fill, and blast?
Fill, pump, and blast. Get it right. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah.
I did it right on the title. Yeah, well, if my lock stops working, I'll know why. But it's working like a charm right now.
Excellent.
Yeah. After not being able to engage, and like multiple times I would forget and just like lock my bottom lock and walk out the door, and then have to walk around to the back door and unlock it to get back in.
And then someone kills you in your sleep because your door is inadequately locked or something.
Oh no, I deadbolt when I go to bed.
Oh, okay.
You know, a lot of houses in my city do not lock their doors, and it's mostly.
Didn't you tell us that your city has like a lot of crime when we were there?
Yeah. Well, not. I mean, it's, if you look at the statistics, it is the lowest crime rate in California, or one of the lowest crime rates in California, but it's still not zero.
Mostly just hate crimes, right?
Yes, and that's done by the agriculture department at Cal Poly, and they've been better about it in the last.
Hey, good for them.
Year.
That's progress.
Yeah. You know, they haven't had a themed party where there's a effigy hanging from a noose in over 5 years.
Well, wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That's
and
progress.
those early Trump years got a little cray-cray. I mean, but there were great people on both sides, but...
Yeah. You know. Good God. Yeah. No.
Did you see they moved the doomsday clock to 90 seconds to midnight?
Oh, really?
The closest it's ever been.
Because of the war, or because
everything
is
everything is effed, just miserably and irreparably effed.
Cool. Well, sorry for your children listening to this in 40 years trying to remember their parents.
Yeah, and the worst thing that we have, the things we're focusing on are egg prices tripling and Taylor Swift tickets being hard to purchase.
There's a bird flu, and F Ticketmaster, man. I do not
I know,
care.
But I just feel like there are other things we could be concerning ourselves with, like the fact that everyone is being shot everywhere in America every day.
Well, you know that statistic I threw at you, that there's more days, or there's more mass shootings this year than there are days so far. I'm pretty sure that was the same statistic from last year as well.
Yeah. Jesus carried an AR-15.
Yeah.
It's in the Bible. I mean, read it.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. It's like, at some point, why do you need a street sweeper? Like, at what point, for your personal self-defense, will you be able to run to your rifle locker, load?
I actually hunt. When I hunt deer, I actually use an RPG. I line it up. It's heat seeking. So and then that way the meat is pre-ground. It just, it's very tender once it's exploded.
And a little charred already. Perfect. Perfect temperature to just walk up and eat. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. But I mean, I saw the video of the guy that the shooting in LA on Lunar New Year Eve. And at the second place, there was like a video of the guy wrestling the gun away from the shooter. And I'm just like, why does that man have it was either an AR-15 or an AK-47. I'm like, what, why?
You know, the guy pulls out a super soaker full of cat piss and just nails the dude in the eye, takes him out. A little throwback to last week's episode.
That was a fun episode. I hope we get as many downloads as we did the previous week, because I feel like that was a good one. It actually came of use just now. I came home from trivia. There was a round about it was a picture round, and it was fad toys, and most of them were from the 90s. One was a chopped off picture of a super soaker.
Oh, there's like a sawed off super soaker.
Yes. It was Super Soaker 50, and then I yelled, it was originally called the Power Trencher, and the guy's just like, whatever. Don't care. Yeah. So speaking of variety shows, we're on our third variety show episode, I think, and with the invention of Furby Zordon. Furby was also an answer on that round.
Right.
We should just let Furbdon take over. Ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to our segment on 90s Super Bowl commercials. We'll be taking a look at some of the most iconic commercials from the decade, from the classic McDonald's Showdown featuring Michael Jordan and Larry Bird to the iconic Bud Light I Love You Man ad. So let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit some of these classic commercials. Thank you.
Wow, thanks. That was almost unintelligible. That's perfect.
Perfect. Yes. I just love...
Just like when I talk.
Going back in and having a Zordon voice for us. But yeah, that's an interesting topic. Thank you, Furbdon, sent by our Lord and Savior, Jewel. Jewel, praise be to Jewel.
And also with you.
My hands are my own, and they're not yours. I think I butchered that line. Anyways.
It's from Thessalonians, I believe.
Yes. A Night Without Armor, 117. So let's talk about that first one. 1990s McDonald's Showdown commercial featuring Michael Jordan and Larry Bird in a classic game of horse.
Okay, yeah.
You watched this one.
I never saw this commercial until today.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen it because we talked about Super Bowl commercials, I think, before, because we did the Doritos. We did the Doritos 3D episode, and I think that's when it came up.
For our listeners, basically what happens is Michael Jordan walks onto the basketball court with some McDonald's, and Larry Bird's like, "Oh, looks pretty good. I'll play you for it." And then they decide they're going to play essentially a game of horse, and the shots become increasingly ridiculous and difficult. And then they just kind of make more and more ridiculous shots. And then it doesn't never really resolve at the end. I don't think anyone wins.
No, I think the final shot is they're at the top of, I assume, the Empire State. But no, Chicago.
Sears Tower?
Yes. Yeah. And are making the shot from there.
Yeah. The Sears Tower is currently having going out of business sale. And the United Center is currently dragging everyone out of the arena, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Mostly Chinese doctors or whatever.
I do not understand this reference.
What? Remember the time they pulled that like doctor off the United flight, kicking and screaming, like 4 years ago?
Yes.
United Center is where they played.
Oh, I didn't. United Airlines, I didn't realize.
Yeah, United owned the naming rights to the United Center.
If I was more awake right now, I would have laughed had I known all of that.
The thing about this is well before the trick shot thing. It's like now I feel like they would actually have people doing trick shots. Yeah,
this was proto Dude Perfect. If you're familiar, you have kids.
I do. Yeah. I think I saw them on some sort of like reality show once too, which was really painful. But all they do with this is like throw it from wherever ridiculous location, like smash cut to a bounce and then smash cut to a completely separate video of a ball going into a hoop with the sound.
A different colored ball. I think one was a volleyball at one point. Yeah. What else? There was a 1990 Coca-Cola commercial featuring a choir of singing polar bears. I couldn't find it. I looked for it on YouTube. There were there was once they introduced the Coca-Cola polar bears in like 1992, or I guess 90. There was a slew of Coca-Cola commercials where it was like the bears and
bad CG or whatever.
Yeah, it looked like what's the Tom Hanks movie with the Uncanny
the
Valley?
Polar Express. That thing is creepy.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, how can you field an entire choir of bears? I mean, aren't they all baritones?
Well, thank you for joining us for the final episode of Maybe 90. No, that was a good one. And if you remember correctly, the bears all just make polar bear noises, so it's just like. Speaking of making those noises, there's a 1993 Pepsi commercial featuring Cindy Crawford, who stops traffic when she walks by in her iconic denim outfit to buy a Pepsi. And she also drives up to a gas station. Wasn't she like you just watched it? There was a gas station. She's at a gas station.
Yeah, and she basically stops her car and goes and buys a Pepsi using like a quarter, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, wow. That was like, it was still $1 when we were kids.
Oh, did you know there's like a weird vending machine just on the streets of Seattle that just has random different vintage sodas in it?
No, why?
Like some rando, I mean, it's Seattle, some rando like put it out there and then just puts random sodas in it that you can't really get anymore. And you just put your little quarter in and it's a mystery and you get whatever you get.
That sounds dangerous.
And it's just like on an open sidewalk with an extension cord running to it. It's not like up against a building or anything, as far as I understand it.
And it's just roaming around trying to hunt you down.
Exactly. It's become sentient. It just shoots cans of soda out of it.
It's like one of the robots from Futurama.
Isn't it comforting that doesn't matter the decade, sex always sells? I feel like that's the point of this commercial.
Well, that's a good point because they brought it back 2 more times. They did it once for Diet Pepsi in 98, I think. And then they did like the 50 years of Pepsi commercial one where her son is actually drinking the Pepsi and Cindy Crawford's just like, stop being sexy and come back to the car so we could drive away. Yeah. Because he's pretending to be her. It was a weird. I didn't include it in the video package.
Oh, look at that new Pepsi can. Ugh.
Speaking of Pepsi new, in 1997 there was a Budweiser commercial.
I feel like there was a missed opportunity to go like, wow, if she was holding 2, look at her cans or something, you know? Too obvious?
I feel like that's a Bud Light commercial.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Or like a Michelob.
No, Michelob's mostly bottles, aren't they? Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, Michelob caters to like dudes who play a lot of golf.
Zima,
like
drink
20s.
Zima. Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear it's a Bud Light commercial.
Noxzema? No, Zima. Noxzema is like the face acne cream.
Yeah, no, I if you Google that right now, I bet you could find a Bud Light commercial that did that. Speaking of Bud Light, Budweiser, 1997, there was a commercial featuring a talking Dalmatian puppy who chases after the Budweiser delivery truck. I don't recall that one. I Googled it, could not find it. By the way, these 5 are actually from Furbdon, so it may be a little screwy.
That dog, it probably got cancer the moment they stopped filming, and then it probably bit somebody. Dalmatians are not great dogs.
Well, so there was a Dalmatian set of commercials where a Dalmatian runs with the Clydesdales, and then it is like with the people in the parade.
And then it gets trampled by the Clydesdales and develops a traumatic pneumothorax. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, doctor. But yeah, it's there was a sequel to that one where the puppies were split at birth, and then one's on the fire truck driving by, and then the other one's like, haha.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a 1999 Bud Light commercial featuring the classic "I love you, man" line. Andrew, you saw this one.
I did. Yep. It brought me back. It has the voiceover guy in it that we love and cherish so much.
I call him epic voiceover guy, but that's not. I don't think that's actually the same person.
What was his name?
He has that epic voiceover voice in the world. But this guy is fishing on the docks with his dad, and
I think it's Don LaFontaine. He's one of the two.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah.
And he's getting all emotional, and it's like, "I love you, man," to his dad, and his dad's like, "You're not getting my Bud Light." And then he turns to his friend or brother that was just off frame and starts getting emotional with him, and it's like, "I love you, man," and tries to get his beer. Did not remember any of those, I'm gonna be honest, except for the Cindy Crawford one. And I'd seen the Showdown commercial before when we talked about it.
Speaking of which, that was the first movie I saw before when I first started dating my wife. We saw the movie I Love You, Man,
right,
in theaters, and that was not the movie we thought we were seeing. That's not the movie she thought she was seeing. It was quite
I like that one.
Crude, but funny.
Didn't I?
Paul Rudd. We love Paul Rudd.
Did I not see that with you guys?
No.
Huh. Why did I see that?
Why not? It's got Paul Rudd in it. He's good.
Yeah, Paul Rudd and the guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall and How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. Paul Rudd is one of those people
Freaks
who
and
does
geeks.
not age. He's like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
He might be immortal.
Apparently, the parent Ross and Monica's parents appear more in more episodes of Friends than Paul Rudd does.
That's probably true, but the
Paul
Paul Rudd
was in the
stuff's
whole
good.
last season, wasn't he? I guess
Pretty much, yeah, but they weren't in every episode. But he was very, very good in that show, actually.
Yeah, I agree. And I remembered his name, so I was proud of that. That was another pub trivia thing.
Whose name?
You had to name the top 10 characters that appeared in the most episodes of Friends.
Mike Hannigan.
Mike. Yeah, I remembered Mike. We also picked Alicia Tyler's character, and I couldn't remember.
Yeah, Charlie. Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then I always remember that Paul Rudd's dad is played by that like smarmy President Logan from 24.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Other commercials. There's Doritos 3D. We talked about it when we did the Doritos 3D episode.
Back when there were proper 3D Doritos on the market, there weren't some like rip-off Bugles that taste like nachos.
And the guy that played Jack on Will and Grace is in it too, in that commercial, as one of the guys ogling the girl.
That's funny.
Yeah. There was the Budweiser frogs, the Budweiser. Yeah. And then there were chameleons that tried to take their role. Do you remember that?
No. Did they just like lick their eyeball and barely move?
Yeah, kind of. And then I think they tried to kill the frogs, and then they were like, I think that was like the premise of the further down the line commercials before they got rid of the frogs and the chameleon. There's always the Budweiser Clydesdales. There's always a Budweiser Clydesdale commercial at the Super Bowl. It feels like.
Didn't they not have one a couple years back, and then they were like everyone threw a fit?
There was like a riot. Yeah.
Yeah, at the Capitol, right? No, that was something different.
There's the one that inspired. There's a Nike commercial that inspired Space Jam, which we talked about when we talked about Space Jam. It was a Marvin the Martian and Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan, and they were basically the same commercial from the McDonald's commercial, except
I actually prefer Space Preserves, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's got more chunks in it.
I like when you get the seeds. And finally, this wasn't a Super Bowl commercial, but the Budweiser was up.
And then there's the sequence in The Office where they do that.
And then Jim looks back at does the still love that after seven years. But yeah, that aired Monday Night Football, December of 1999. So by the time it came to the 2000 Super Bowl, there was a "Was Up" commercial. Yeah. Any other? You remember any others
from the 90s specifically? Wait,
branch out?
Didn't they do the 90s Bob Dole, Pepsi, Viagra, Britney Spears one?
How did I forget about that? Yes.
Yeah, Pepsi, Bob Dole.
Like, and Bob Dole's like sitting in his chair watching the Britney Spears halftime show performance.
Bob Dole likes that. Is that what he said or something like that?
I think he says that to his dog or something that brings him a Pepsi. Yeah.
Pepsi and a Viagra. It's the makings of a great Thursday night.
I don't think he needs the Viagra with the Britney Spears. Yeah. That good pull. I forgot. I remember that. I forgot to write it down. Bob Dole. Bob Dole says, now it's time for Namely 90s Minute.
And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of the Pro Bowl and Super Bowl next month, we're looking back at the greatest 90s football movie ever. Aside from Rudy, Little Giants, The Program, The Water Boy, Varsity Blues, Necessary Roughness, Any Given Sunday, Jerry Maguire, School Ties, The Last Boy Scout, Angels in the End Zone, Rise and Walk, The Dennis Bird Story, and the garbage-picking, field-goal-kicking Philadelphia phenomenon, according to Ranker.com. That's right, we're doing the second Air Bud movie, Air Bud Golden Receiver. Air Bud Golden Receiver is a 1998 sports comedy film starring FBI agent Brendan Akers from the Rookie Feds as literally the only returning cast member from the first movie, including the dog who died of synovial sarcoma, that one's for Andrew, between movies. Also featuring Logan from Logan's Run, the voice of Harvey Bullock from Batman the Animated Series, Ensign Parker from McHale's Navy, and current, at the time, Seattle Seahawks players Warren Moon and Joey Galloway. After the events of the first Air Bud, which we'll cover at a later point in time, Widow Fram starts dating the town's new veterinarian, much to her son's dismay. New dad tosses an errant football at the basketball-playing Air Bud, and the family discovers that Buddy is capable of playing football. Somehow. Air Bud joins the junior high football team after Josh's friend forces him to play football over basketball. Obviously, the junior high football team sucks so much that they consider adding a literal dog to their roster, and then they start winning and make it to the championships. Meanwhile, two Russian stereotypes, because this is Rocky and Bullwinkle now for some reason, kidnap Buddy for their Russian circus, because having a roaming circus with the exact dog who can play both basketball and football isn't suspicious at all. But Josh doesn't notice because he ran away from home when new dad proposed to his mom, not wanting to forget about his dead dad. But his coach finds him and convinces him he doesn't have to love just one dad. New dad leaves because he thinks potential son hates him, so Josh returns to a home without new dad or Air Bud. Josh rejoins his team at the championship and they have to play without Buddy, so they are losing badly. Meanwhile, Buddy escapes from the circus with the help of monkeys, but is injured after a car chase that results in Natasha and Boris being arrested by the Russian embassy. Buddy makes it to the championship game with the help of new dad and turns the tide, but then the injury he got fleeing the Russians flares up and he must sit out the rest of the game. In the end, Josh and Tommy lead the team to victory. Afterwards, new dad is leaving on a fishing boat, distraught over his failure to win over his new potential stepson. But new son stops new dad from leaving and convinces him to marry his mom. The movie ends with the whole family going to a Seattle Seahawks game. And that's Air Bud Golden Receiver in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
Have you heard of That Cartoon Podcast? Join us while we deep dive on some artistic wonders and even a few blunders. In our second season, we take you through the shows that made all us 90 kids who we are. From Angry Beavers and Rocko's Modern Life to Samurai Jack and the Powerpuff Girls, we've got you covered. You can listen every other Friday on your favorite podcast app. Find us at That Cartoon Podcast.
And now, back to the show.
All right. So we are actually, that would be our last That Cartoon Podcast 4-run episode promo thing. They're finally back. It's like their ears were burning when I was, because we recorded last week on Thursday. They drop their episodes every Friday, or I think they're trying to do every Friday, but they dropped their episodes on Friday. Clearly their ears are burning because they finally released their first episode of the year last Friday. So hopefully there's 2 episodes out now. Check them out. They're our friends. Tej was on with us over the Christmas specials, and we talked about a terrible, terrible X-Men episode.
The worst, really.
Yeah, with the Morlocks. It was bad. You should check that out too. And then check them out. If they ask you to engage with them, tell them Andrew and Braden say, "What's up?"
What's up?
All right. Speaking of friends of the show, this would normally be where we have the what happened way back when headlines, the UK headlines from the Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod Show. But we're doing a Freaky Friday thing this time.
Not to be confused with the Jamie Lee Curtis movie from the 2000s.
Yes, or the there's an earlier one too, but I'm thinking of Parent Trap. Yeah. Anyway, the point that I was making is we did the US headlines and sent it to them for their episode this coming Thursday. And they sent us a Quotely 90s. So that's going to be our game for this week. Quotely 90s, Freaky Friday edition. It's on a Monday. Freaky
so essentially,
Friday.
They say a movie quote, and then we in various voices, and we have to try to guess who it's from.
Yes, I don't want to steal Gaz or Dangerous Thunder. They did the whole shebang.
Oh, okay.
So let's give it a listen, and then if you're confused after it happens, then
I suspect I'll be confused.
Yes. This should be it.
Hey there, Brandon and Andrew. It's Gaz and Dane from TIDRP, your brother horseman in this retro apocalypse.
Today we have a little quiz for you, a memory game, if you will, that Gaz has brilliantly named Quotely 90s.
This week we're sending you a quote and see if you can guess its origins from some piece of pop culture from the 90s.
Just remember, our worlds weren't as interconnected then as we lived across the pond, and the internet still ran at 26 kilobytes per second.
We'll also, because we're copying you, do multiple readings and either do poor imitations of the character/person who said it, or poor imitations of whomever we feel like.
And if you're lucky, you'll hear me slip into my terribly offensive English accent.
Is that enough of a setup for you lads? Are you ready for Quotely 90s?
Name the movie, and if possible, the character that said this. Bonus points for the actor.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I'll spread your pate and I'll dip my ladle in your fishy soie.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate. I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate, and I will dip my ladle in your fishy soie.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate. I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate, and I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate. I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate, and I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate. I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pate, and I will dip my ladle in your vichyssoise.
All right. That was the first part of Quotely 90s.
That's the most uncomfortable quote I've ever heard. And we just got the pleasure of hearing it like 8 times.
Well, it started with a little Scottish Mike Myers doing Shrek, I feel like.
Yeah, but I mean, that's obviously overtly sexual. So this is clearly an adult's movie.
Did Shrek not? Well, one, Shrek was a 2000 movie, but did Shrek not say "Kiss me, my dear," and I will reveal my croissant?
I don't think that he did he?
And you can kiss me in my vichyssoise.
That all sounds very ill.
So is it a comedy movie?
Do you have any guesses?
I really don't.
I'm getting Quentin Tarantino vibes.
Really? I was thinking more like because the way we do it is we do a flat read, and then the second read is supposed to kind of be close to what it is. Right. So I was thinking they were trying to give away Mike Myers by doing the Scottish Shrek thing.
Well, I mean, so it's kind of obscure. So that's why I would lean toward like a Quentin Tarantino property. And also it's related to French.
Yes.
Which, what's the style he does his movies in?
Nouvelle.
Yeah, like kind of a little bit, European contemporary type.
I see what you're going for.
So, but could I name a character or an actress or actor? Actor. It would be an actor. No.
See, I was thinking. So there's two things. There's two thought processes. One is they're always talking about Father Ted, and the what's the movie? Is the movie Father Ted? No,
it's a
show? That's a show, but it's the guy that was from the thing that we watched. Bottom is
don't know who that is.
But he's in a movie and they're always talking about it, and I'd never seen it. I just totally. My second thing is going off the Mike Myers thing, which is probably a red herring. There's like I could see him saying that either in like an Austin Powers movie or
I think Austin Powers is actually a really good guess.
Right? That or So I Married an Axe Murderer, because I think either he works in a bakery or the woman works in a bakery that he marries.
I'm really liking the Mike Myers angle.
Thank you. Because
it feels like it could either be really comedic,
right,
or it could be like hypersexual in an actual, like dramatic movie.
And put those two together, and you have any Mike Myers role from the 90s. But
we don't have to guess which movie. Yeah, we do.
Yes, we need to guess the movie, the character, and if possible, the person who said it. So we have possibly Mike Myers, possibly Austin Powers in Austin Powers International Man of Mystery, I would say.
Yeah, I think the first one. Yeah. Okay.
Kiss Me, My Dear. I just learned that a vichyssoise is just a potato and leek soup.
Yeah, it's just a soup, but it sounds like disgusting.
Ago. No, it's actually quite good. It's a cold soup.
No, the soup sounds fine, but when you talk about someone's vichyssoise, it sounded like fishy, first of all, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think you have this most solid guess at an actual name.
Okay, so we're going for Austin Powers in Mike Myers in International Man of Mystery.
I think that's a fair guess.
Yeah, backup guess was So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Okay,
and they're gonna laugh at us because clearly we didn't get it.
No.
They threw a hard one to lead off.
They threw a curveball toward our wicket. Or whatever, I don't know. It's like, that's not a.
Wicket is the thing in.
That's the thing from cricket.
Yeah,
it's the bat.
No, that's the pole. That's what.
Okay.
That's what you're supposed to hit with the.
But isn't a bumper when the wicket's sticky?
Yeah, well, so there's a thing on the wicket that you have to knock the thing off of, and so it's good for the wicket to be sticky because then the thing won't fall off of. That's what I know of cricket. You ready for?
Sure.
All right, let's get the answer.
Jesus Christ.
Smoking? I'll give you smoking in a minute. Shut up. Oh, damn it.
Kiss me, my dear, and I will reveal my croissant. I will spread your pâté. I will dip my ladle in your vicious walls.
Was said by the Masked Stanley Ipkiss in 1994's The Mask, starring Jim Carrey.
Never would have gotten it.
The king.
That's your movie.
So bad.
Never would have gotten it.
It's brilliant. 90s movie genre.
Somebody stop you. I'll stop you in a minute. Bloody kids, stupid quotes. Oh, God's sake. If you're interested in hearing about The Mask, then keep your ears peeled, as we'll be covering it when I've calmed down. Or possibly this Thursday coming up.
Smoking!
Don't start.
Find it on your platform of choice at the Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod Show. Now, back to the wolf whistling spicy meatball, namely 90 Boys, B-Meat, and Dr. Loaf.
You're Dr. Loaf, by the way.
I feel decent about our guess. Like, yeah,
Pretty
we were
good.
wrong, but it wasn't
Like
it was a
Jim
solid
Carrey,
guess.
Mike Myers. Those are two, I
Yeah.
would say, two comedy greats in the 90s. But
It's-
the Mask is your movie.
It's stupid when the dog puts the mask on. That's my favorite quote from you from like early, namely 90s.
Yeah, we talked about that like probably the first 10 episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we got defeated on that one.
we did. I apologize. We were talking when we heard the second part. They usually do it dead silent. So I don't know if I edited that in or not, but I feel like for the show I did.
Thing about that, I think the reason I don't recall that from the movie is when I was a kid watching that movie, I
You didn't know
didn't
what a vicious
understand
was.
how overtly sexual that whole thing was.
Yeah.
And now I hear it and I'm like, good God. But back then I was like, that's a funny line. I don't understand those words. Let's move on.
Even
Like, it
hearing the
just didn't go
quote,
into
I was
my
like,
brain.
this sounds familiar, but I don't know what it is until they told it to us. So you guys win this round. What would you think about asking them to do this monthly instead of the UK headlines if they were
Could be
interested?
fun. Could be fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that if they were interested. I wouldn't mind continuing doing Quoting 90s to them too, but it's this
Where else can I practice my offensive English accent?
Yeah, and it's nice to have our friends do a segment for us. So if you like your retro with an equal helping of 80s to wash down the 90s, check out the Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod Show on your platform of choice and follow up with those rascally rabbits on this Thursday's episode. You'll even get to catch our Freaky Friday segment with the U.S. headlines. One that is relevant to one of the three headlines will be relevant to our next episode of Namely 90s. Andrew's deep dive, and you'll figure that out when you listen to the pod show, and then come back on Thursday when they release their episodes, and come back to us next Monday.
Cheerio. There it is.
Yeah. Should we close it
Pip,
out
pip.
by doing our own Namely 90s Super Bowl commercial?
Sure.
All right. Flash. I don't know. Are you ready for improv?
I guess.
Do you
Can
wanna
you
just-
ever really be ready?
Yes. In a world where the 90s is over 30 years ago, if you do the math weird. Two men, one podcast, traveling back and forth through time. Oh no, I'm stealing the Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod Show thing.
God, this is not working. I don't have anything to say because it's an audio medium and Super Bowl commercials are not audio.
Get ready for the big game by listening to Namely 90s. I love Namely 90s. They're awesome. I wish I could listen to Namely 90s all day. Bow, down, 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 down. That's a sexy woman walking up to a bank.
And then she cracks open an ice cold Clamato
and sticks it inside the dryer. Smash cut to frogs sitting and saying, namely, 90s.
Ribbit.
Smash cut to Clydesdales running across a podscape landscape, and they're talking, and they say, would you like a beer?
To which I would say, I'd like to see a psychiatrist because this horse is talking to me.
Smash cut.
And then it's a commercial for Prozac, which was fairly new at the time.
And it reveals the two of us sitting in Old West bathtubs looking over the cliff at a sunrise.
Yeah.
Was that Prozac or was that
Zoloft? No, that was Cialis.
That was Cialis.
Cialis, yeah. We're holding hands in separate bathtubs on the edge of a cliff at sunset.
Smash cut to us going, what's up?
This commercial was brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb. Everyone in this commercial is a professional actor. Do not attempt anything you saw in this commercial at any time.
And then Tony Hawk busts through the screen.
Yeah. Wicked.
Tony Hawk. All right.
I feel like you got enough like random one-off clips there to make something happen.
Yeah, I think that was our great narrated Super Bowl commercial. Anything else for this week? And that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Join us next week for a deep dive episode. Andrew's presenting this time. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely 90s with 90s, or find our personal accounts at bshwitty and at Namely Andrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with the 90s. Finally, you can also contact us through our website, namely90s.com. No, you can't. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, Superb Owl, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. We'll catch you next time. What's up?
What's up?